You know, the MK is a factor in KwaZulu-Natal. Currently, the MK has an issue with results.
There were people who were in government and they were white, they were in charge of the country. There were those who were oppressed, who needed to be sent around, guided not to do anything, etc.
I'm sure themselves they knew that was a good dream. That doesn't come every day. If they win, good.
The ANC's alliance partner, COSATU, is rejecting any coalition with the Democratic Alliance.
But on this matter of the DA, we have taken a decision about this matter. We would have to engage to that to be someone must convince us, must make us to understand why should we go into coalition, why the ANC should be in coalition with the DA.
Even the new ones, you can see they are bought by Oppenheimer to go and chase the EFF. They wanted to finish this EFF in these elections. The Oppenheimers took millions and millions of money. Barry, hey, we don't want this kind of an arrangement. This EFF is a big problem. They went out to finish the EFF. Look at us now. Oppenheimer. We're here. We're a problem for another 5 years.
The election time, it is over in South Africa, and people of South Africa, they have manifested their choice on the kind of political party that they want to see them representing them inside the parliament and in different municipalities and metros around the country. People of South Africa, they have made their choice, which need to be respected. But there is only one problem. According to the result which was announced by the IEC, it shows that in the Parliament of South Africa, there is no a political party which managed to have the majority of seats in the parliament. We are talking about a political party which could be able to at least have 50% of the votes. The ANC, for the first time in the history of the ANC, they became as the loser when it comes to the majority in the parliament. They could not be able to secure the majority in the parliament. This left them in a very hard position now for them to go to coalition. As we're talking right now, all political parties in South Africa, they are busy negotiating in order for them to come up with a government which will be based on the coalition. Well, what is coalition? And who need to meet who in order for them to serve or to be at the service of the people of South Africa? Do you see ANC working together with the MK of Jacob Zuma? Do you see the MK working together with the EFF of Julius Malema? Or do you see ANC working together with the DA of John Stenizen? Well, we'll talk about all that in this video. You need to watch it until the end so that you can get to understand exactly what is happening. But before everything, allow me to welcome you, all of you, to Cool Buzz TV. Welcome back to another video for those who've been watching us for some times now. Stay tuned, grab your cup of tea. Let's us have a conversation in order for us to understand exactly what is this coalition, because Some people don't even know what is a coalition. In order for us to give our point of view or our analysis in different topics that we had prepared for you this evening, well, we first need to understand what is coalition. As we said at the beginning of this video, guys, a coalition government, it is something which shows that no one who manage to come out from the result which had to be announced by the IEC as the winner, according to the constitutions, not only in South Africa but around the world, including in Africa continent. If you can come out from the elections with less than 50% of votes, then you are not considered as the winner or a person who have majority. In other constitutions, you can pass with less than 50% of votes if it is allowing you to be recognized as someone who will be having more majority. But for an example, in South Africa, if you are having less than 50%, then you must know that regardless what position you can come out, as we see the ANC, they came out with about 40% of votes. That does not make them become the win of majority in the parliament.
But what makes me happy as of late, the MK is following proper procedures. They firstly disputed with IEC. When they did not get sufficient joy, today they announced that they have gone to the court of law to challenge the results. I think for me, that is what is the right thing to do, because courts are there. When you have a complaint, go to the courts of law, present your story, and I'm confident that our courts will give a satisfactory verdict in terms of the evidence that will be presented. Once even Umkhonto weSizwe has gone through that process, it will eventually come into a situation that yes, we have won or we have lost in the court of law. What else must be done? Okay. There was one statement said by Umsholozi today where he said people must not rush and want to use violence. I really commend him for that statement as of today. I don't want to say anything about other days, but that statement to me, it said this is the responsible leadership we need from all leaders in our country, that by every means and every effort, let us encourage our people not to resort to violence. Violence results to destruction, death of people. No one wants that to happen again in our country.
So they managed to secure the seat of the head of the state, which is the President Cyril Ramaphosa, but they could not be able to secure as much seat they needed in the parliament. Now, this is where the problem lays, because I get to see some people are celebrating and saying that no, at least the ANC, they managed to remain in power. Yes, it is true. They managed to remain in power, but this time they could not be able to remain in power like the way they usually do after all these elections that they had organized already in South Africa. Why? Because they don't have the majority. So the power that the ANC they managed to have this time, it is kind of the power which I can give an example of you trying to sleep while you are on a tree. You know, when you are on the tree, you can't be able to sleep more comfortably because you know very well that if you sleep, the next thing that's going to happen to you, it will be that you might end up following. So the ANC, they are kind of like they're standing with one leg, or they are being seated on a chair which have only one leg. They need to have at least 2 or 3 legs in order for them to sit more comfortably. Otherwise, they can fail. They can fall at any time. That is the kind of the coalition that the ANC they are finding themselves right now, the kind of coalition that the ANC they have to make right now. So with that being said, at least just to give you an idea, what is this coalition all about and what does it really mean? So that is how it is. A coalition, in other words, it's simply to say that since you could not be able to secure more seats in the parliament than all of us, and since all of us we could not be able to reach our target of having at least 50% of votes, well, we are going to share. We are going to share what? We are going to share the power. So, and that is a must for the ANC, because if they can't do that, which means they will lose the majority in the parliament, and if they have to lose the majority in the parliament, they won't be able to lead. Like the President Cyril Ramaphosa, he won't even be able to take some decisions which can be obeyed by the parliament, because remember, every law that we are having in this country, it all comes from the parliament. The parliament, they have to debate over it, and then they have to vote over it. So right now, the ANC, they are in the position of sharing their power in order for them to have what they need. In order for President Ramaphosa to fulfill each and every word that he had promised to people of South Africa during the campaign, he then needs some political parties who can come and give him hand. Well, now here's the problem. In this election, we know that the ANC, they came with about 40%. We having DA who follow after them. We are having MK of Jacob Zuma, which came also in the third position with about 14.6%, and followed by the EFF. Of course, we all know that there were a lot of political parties which did participate in these elections. We have a Patriotic Alliance, we have many political parties, we can't mention them, all of them here, but we just want us to focus more on these four political parties, because they are the most powerful, or should I say the biggest political party right now in South Africa. And these political parties, some of them, they are the king makers. Like once you have one of these political parties, then you are sorted. So that's the reason why we are giving the example of those political parties, which is the ANC, DA, MK and the EFF. This political party, all of them, they failed to come out with 50% of votes in order for them to secure their majority in the parliament. So, according to the constitution, according to the law, these four political parties, or whoever is among them, they have to form up what we call a coalition a coalition group, which will compose the majority in the parliament. Now, we're having the ANC, guys. The ANC is finding themselves in the way that they have to find a proper way in order for them to balance themselves. As I give you the example that the ANC, they're in the position of standing or being seated on a chair which have only one leg. So it is even impossible for you to balance yourself. So the ANC need 2 to 3 legs, which is different political parties. It could be the EFF, it could be DA or the MK. These these 3 political parties, the ANC, they have to find some of them who will work with them. Now, all these things are happening when there is a serious drama and comedies which has been taking place in South Africa politics. We have to acknowledge this, because most of these political parties that I just mentioned, most of them, they are not even getting along. We have spoke to you about this in some of our previous videos, where we make you understand that how possible is it that you are seeing a opposition political party which is supposed to be fighting the ruling party, but instead they are not doing this. They are preferring to leave the ruling party and attack their fellow opposition political party. How possible is that?
How do you have an opposition declaring an opposition and then leaving the ruling party to concentrate on the opposition? And all of them, they get formed and then they concentrate on the opposition. Even the new ones, you can see they are bought by Oppenheimer to go and chase the EFF. They wanted to finish this EFF in these elections. The Oppenheimers took millions and millions of money. Barry, hey, we don't want this kind of an arrangement. This EFF is a big problem. They went out to finish the EFF Look at us now. Oppenheimer. We're here. We're a problem for another 5 years. They have to deal with that.
And these are the kind of things that's been happening in this country for some times. Now, talking about this, of course, we are seeing DA versus the EFF of Julius Malema. We are seeing DA versus the MK of Jacob Zuma, because I don't remember the MK making a statement saying that no, we are enemies or we don't want to work with the DA so far, unless if I'm missing up something. But according to the little things that I know, of course, it is only the DA who make that announcement to make it even more official, saying that it is a no for them in order for them to sit down and work with MK and the EFF.
I want to reassure you, I too am a father to 3 young daughters. And like millions of South Africans, I don't want them to grow up in a country run by a party like MK that wants to abolish the constitution, which wants to subvert the judiciary, and that plans to expropriate private property and nationalize the Reserve Bank. These are the things contained in the manifestos of the EFF and MK, and they amount to an all-out assault on the constitution of our country. I want to assure you that the DA will not give up.
Well, these are the same things or the same words which they had applied again since 2022. Even last year in 2023, John Stenizen, who came and said that no, he does not want the doom coalition of Julius Malema with the ANC. So obviously you can tell already that according to DA, they don't want to work with any political party. That's what they said in front of cameras. But in the reality, we are seeing something else. And we are going to discuss that with you in a few minutes. Let me just focus on that part where I'm saying that most of these people who are now called according to the constitution in order for them to sit one place and work together in order for South Africa to benefit at the end of the day. They kind of like enemies, and each and every political party, they are trying to protect their own interest. That already is where the drama is being seated. Now, we are having also MK, who does not want to work with the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa, as they like to call it, because according to them, they believe that this ANC that we are getting to see is the one of the President Cyril Ramaphosa and not the one that we all know. That's according to the MK political party. And they said they don't want to work with the ANC. ANC on their side, they said that no, as our door is open for everyone, we are willing to work with everyone who want to work with us. Well, now with this being said, what will happen now if the MK gets approached by the ANC? Are them gonna reject this offer, or they are not going to, or they are going to accept it? At the same time, we are all aware of what has been happening between the ANC and the MK. From the moment when Jacob Zuma announced this political party, we saw how things have changed around. It was all about them meeting each other inside the court, taking each other inside the court, and then the judge have to rule over their whatsoever could be their conflict. And you can just tell that this is just modern politics that is happening right now. Some they are even taking this to their personal matters. Now, will the ANC be able to humble themselves and approach the MK? That's also another question that we're just leaving it for now before we get to discuss more about it in details. On the other side, we're having the EFF of Julius Malema. On the side of the EFF of Julius Malema, they have said it a couple of times, saying that they are willing to work with everyone. They are even willing to approach the DA in order for them to work with them together.
You know, the good thing with the EFF is that we speak to everyone, including those small boys of the DA with their grandmother, Helen. We can talk to all of them. Those racists, we have no problem. But we talk to them out of principle. We are not going to find each other. Shame. We are not going to find each other. We just talk because we are talking. But there's nothing we're going to really find from those people.
So, now that they are willing to do all this, now that the EFF, they want to work together with any kind of political party, will this other political party be able to work with the EFF? That's just another question we are putting it to you. Because if we look everything the way this political party they are seated, if we have to go back to their manifesto as they were busy presenting it in a different stadiums or through the community and everything, well, you can tell that their manifestos, beside the part of jobs, I'm talking about unemployment and some few things, in the large number of the points that they had included in their manifesto, these people, they are different, like they are so different in many ways. Only the EFF of Julius Malema with the MK of Jacob Zuma seem to have the same manifesto. Their manifestos, they kind of like seem to speak the same language. EFF talk about land without compensation. MK repeat the same things, that we need to take our land. EFF talk about the free educations. MK speak also the same thing. Apparently, according to Jacob Zuma, is saying that this free education is supposed to be taken a long time ago, but the ANC, they failed to do it. So them, if they come to power, there'll be a free educations for everyone. The EFF, they are talking about nationalization of minings and like, if I have just to stop there a little bit, when they're talking about nationalization of all these things, they simply mean to say that the states, which is the government, they need to be looking after mining. They must have the mining, they must have their banks, state banks, okay? They must be having a lot of things which can be owned only by state. So there are certain things, instead of it being owned by private sector, they prefer these things to be owned by the state. That is the same policy which the MK of Jacob Zuma, they also working on it. Proof to that, when John Stenizen came and announced on how they don't want to work with the MK, or they don't want anything to do with the MK, well, one of the reasons he advanced, it was the same reason that he did accuse the EFF back then, by saying that the MK of Jacob Zuma, their policy or their manifesto is not something that will benefit us, because they are here, they want to make sure that they nationalize each and everything to belong to the state instead of it belonging to private sectors. And since these things of them being like individuals having minings and companies and banks and everything, it is more benefiting them. Well, for them, each and every individual or any person who will come up with a policy of saying that no, let us nationalize these things and let it be for the government, this kind of a person or this kind of message won't be welcome on their side. So when you look this policy, the one the EFF they're having, and you put the one of the MK, they speak same language, they get even more along. Beside that, we should also look the relationship between the two leaders, the leader of the EFF and the one of the leader of the MK. We all know that Jacob Zuma, before he left the office as the head of the state, the kind of conflict which was going on between him and Julius Malema, especially in the parliament, we also how they had the serious misunderstanding over there in the parliament, whereby the EFF, they will say this, and the ANC with Jacob Zuma, they will have to reply back. We all remember what used to happen back then in the parliament. But that was kind of a conflict whereby if you have to go in a normal life, I don't think someone like a Jacob Zuma will ever forgive or be friend with someone like a Julius Malema, because maybe as a a person, they can even decide to have something against you, saying that, okay, it is because of you managed to remove me in the office. But that conflict, obviously, the two men, they had proven to us that the way we think or the way we see things are not the same way that they see things around. Proof to that is the time when the president of the EFF, Julius Malema, had to go all the way to Jacob Zuma home in KwaZulu-Natal and have a cup of tea over there. Politicians. And this is what we always tell you every time, that never mind politicians, because if you mind politicians, trust me, you will be the one who will be in trouble. You'll be disappointed, you'll be hurt, because politicians, they have their certain kind of language that they do speak, and it is only them who can understand each other better than nothing. Another proof, we saw how Julius Malema come and tell us that no, there is no a permanent enemy in politics. So in other words, Julius Malema is willing to work with Jacob Zuma, especially now that they're having the same kind of manifesto together. So all these things, obviously you can tell that the relationship between the two leaders, Jacob Zuma and Julius Malema, it is okay. When you look now between MK with the EFF of Julius Malema, their manifestos, they seem to be okay. Now, the problem here is seated now between ANC with these two political parties. Because we're having we're having ANC put it right in the middle center. We're having EFF and MK, which seem to be on the one side, they are also on the right side. We are having DA and these other political parties, such as the one of Emin Mashaba, they are also on their side. Now the ANC need to make a choice, and looking at how things are sitting right now on the table, or what's being said already out there, which you also, I think you have come across this kind of debate and you see already what is happening. There is a many possibility way that DA can only go to coalition with the ANC and not with MK or the EFF of Julius Malema. But what is being said for these two people, if the DA can go to coalition with the ANC, we all know that there is a lot that have took place before, and we all know what people are thinking out there, that if DA can go to coalition with the ANC, which means it's like the ANC is bringing back apartheid regime in power in South Africa. And when people are saying like this, which means they know why they are saying so. Remember, they always say there is no smoke without fire. And when people are talking about this kind of things, it's because they know already what will happen next. But when we look at the manifesto of the ANC, we look to the one of DA. Does it even match in order for them to go and work together? Because if you look the manifesto of the ANC, there's a couple of things which can make them to not ever work with DA. And DA also on their side, they have kind of manifestos which can't allow them to work with certain political parties as EFF and the MK, because they want whoever who they will decide to go to coalition with, this person must be able to do everything that they will be asking them to do. So in other words, they will be putting their manifestos down and saying that, oh look, since we are working with you, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that. Now, the manifesto which the ANC they are having, if they have to go ahead and go to coalition with DA, that will simply make each and every person who had fought so much in the ANC in order for them to defeat the apartheid regime, it will make them turn into their graves, because they'll feel like they're being disappointed and they'll feel like they're being betrayed. But when you look on the side of the ANC, They are also giving or advancing their reasons, saying that no, at the moment, we don't need to do anything. We need to put all our arrogance down and find a solution to this. Well, that's a very good idea. In order for you to be at the service of your people, sometimes you need to lower yourself, humble yourself, and try to negotiate. But when you do this negotiation, where does people of South Africa standing in all this? So, for yourself, you can see already that the kind of coalition which will happen if the ANC have to go for DA. Because if they go, they'll have a very powerful majority in the parliament. A very powerful majority in the parliament that the ANC, the EFF and the MK and even this other remaining political party join the MK and EFF, they won't do nothing because ANC majority with DA, it will crush them. Whatsoever, they won't have actually a word to say in this parliament. When it is come to vote, when it come to what, because the ANC, there are so many, DA, there are so many, they are like number 2. So imagine taking number 1 and number 2, you put them together. They are power together already. This other political party won't survive. Unless if they have some strategic that they can apply as politicians in order for them to defeat the ANC. So now, the DA, definitely that's what they want. They want to go to coalition with the ANC. Because as I said, the EFF and the MK, it is a no for them. But why do they want to go for the ANC than not the EFF or the MK? Well, again here, it is what they usually say, better the devil you know than the angel that you don't know. And if the DA, they are making up a choice to go for the ANC instead of going for other political parties, is because they have their own good reasons in all this. And some of their reasons is because they know that if they have the ANC on their side, the nationalization of the banks, mines and everything that the EFF and MK they are planning to apply so far, it won't be applied to them. Even if the ANC want to do it, they won't be able to do it because they will remind them that, hey, look, don't play with us because we are the kingmaker here. We make you guys to become who you are. And please, you don't need to listen to MK and the EFF proposal about nationalization of these banks and mining. And that's where their problem is seated. Because they want to make sure that things should remain in the way it is, whereby the minority of people, that the one who are benefiting more than the majority in this country. So they prefer to work with the ANC than working with these other political parties, because with these other political parties it's going to be impossible for them to put their proposal on the table and then everything's just going to happen like that. When you look at the EFF, you see already that the EFF, they don't have even time for that. Instead, them, if they have to go to coalition with any of these political parties, they'll go straight to the point by reminding people that, okay, it's about time we apply our rule of land without compensation, which we know it is a taboo topic or questions when it comes to DA. Now, you see already some of the advantage, which is doing the DA in order for them to go straight and want to work with the ANC. Because they know some of their benefits, it will go more easy when they are with the ANC than if they are with the MK or the EFF of Julius Malema. Let's put that aside. Now let us take or sit in the possible way this coalition between the ANC and the MK. Do you think if they have to go to coalition, what kind of coalition will them have? Are them gonna get along? What kind of rule or principle that they can apply which can benefit people of South Africa? Because these are capital questions that we should be asking. Why am I saying this? Let me give a very simple example. The problem started between ANC with MK. It is the moment when Zuma announced in media saying that he's not gonna vote for the ANC, but is going to vote for a new political party, which is the MK. Since then, people who were fighting Zuma from within the ANC, who used to fight him in secret, they now had that opportunity for them to start fighting him more openly. Proof to that, we have people such as Fikile Mbalula, who used to respect Zuma so much, calling him President Jacob Zuma, blah, blah, blah. Today, go and listen to Fikile Mbalula when he speaks about Jacob Zuma. He considered Jacob Zuma like no one to his eyes. And you can't even remember that this same Fikile Mbalula was a minister in the cabinet of Jacob Zuma in different posts. From Minister of Sport and Culture to Home Affairs, from Home Affairs to Police. Such kind of opportunity or privilege, should I say, that Jacob Zuma did trust this kind of person by always nominating them in each and every cabinet that he had to nominate. Fikile Mbalula was always being inside. But go today, listen to Fikile Mbalula when he's being asked a question about MK or Jacob Zuma. You should see the way he addresses Jacob Zuma. So you can tell already that in politics, like always, there are people who call you your excellency, but yet there are people who are busy hitting you from down until they get the good opportunity in them for them to destroy you. And that's what we've been seeing. So since the Jacob Zuma decided to go and vote for another political party, we also how they've been taking him in court, by first reminding him that no, he should go and find another name for his political party, blah, 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 blah. Now, looking at how things they have been so far, you can tell already that these people, they're having a very serious problem between themselves because they want to make sure that their things should not continue to remain the same, because they want to make sure that Jacob Zuma should not have that easy access to come back in politics, because they want to make sure that Jacob Zuma can be done or finished politically, because they know very well that if the man Jacob Zuma have to come back, he's not going to make things easy for them. It's going to come up with a revenge on them for the reasons that we have discussed with you again in some of our videos. So already you see that the temperature between these two political parties, the ANC and the MK of Jacob Zuma, is not that good at all. When you look at the MK part, you find out that no, them also, if they have to work with the ANC, they prefer to work with another ANC and not the ANC, the one of President Cyril Ramaphosa. In other words, they are saying that if the ANC want to work with them, then they should make Ramaphosa resign from his office or his post as the president of the country. They can replace him with someone else, then there the ANC can go ahead and negotiate with the MK. Which, by the way, it sounds that simple on their side, but not on the side of the ANC. Because Fikile Mbalula, he came also back by responding back to Jacob Zuma, telling him that forget about it. If you don't get it, forget about it. If you don't understand that it is President Cyril Ramaphosa who have been representing the ANC, and when people of South Africa voted for the ANC, they did not vote for someone to come and replace Ramaphosa. They were voting because they know that it is Ramaphosa who have to come back. So people of South Africa, when they went to the ballot papers, they knew very well that no, we are voting back Ramaphosa. So therefore, Ramaphosa is going to be there and is not going anywhere. So anyone who comes with that topic of saying that no, they should remove Ramaphosa is wasting their time. They should just leave Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa is going to be there. So you see already that it is a no or impossible for these two political parties to work together. Maybe in the future. Yeah, maybe in the future they work together. But let us now talk about the EFF with the ANC. What will happen if these two political parties have to form a coalition government? Well, as for the EFF of Julius Malema, they had made peace with it. They have understood that people of South Africans, they have manifested their voluntaries and they have spoken. Therefore, we are left without no choice than to work with everyone who's willing to work with the EFF. So, Julius Malema, they would love to work with the ANC of President Cyril Ramaphosa, because even Malema said that Ramaphosa is not that big problem or big issue for him. So, he's willing to work with them, but as long there are certain things which need to be respected, and there will be certain principles which will have to be respected. Well, what kind of principles is that? There's a couple of things, because if you remember, these things of land without compensation, it was brought already in the parliament between the ANC and the EFF until the ANC end up changing their mind. So if they have to work this time, which means the EFF will have to urge them to at least accept this proposal so that they can go ahead and vote these things of land without compensation. That's number one. Number two, the EFF, they are seeking already the seat of the parliament. They say that no, since the ANC, there's still going to be that majority, or they'll be having a lot of posts in the government. Well, as for the EFF, they are seeking two things, which is the president of the parliament and the minister of finance. Now, let's start with the president of the parliament. Why do they need that? According to Julius Malema, he said they want to have the seat of the parliament because they need to hold to accountable all the members of the ANC who be in the government. And they feel, according to them again, that the ANC, since they've been the one who were having the parliament, they were doing things as it pleases them. They were protecting people where they're supposed not to be protecting people. They were protecting corruption where they're supposed not to be protecting corruption. And no one could not do anything because they were there in the majority, and then they will be kind of like doing things as their wishes. And one of the proof that Julius Malema gave, it is the example of Palapala. He said that they called for the president to go in the parliament so that they can ask him some questions. And just because they all knew that if they have to expose the president to go to the parliament and being asked questions from the opposition parties, this might end up making the president to leave the office or to resign from the office. Because whether we like it or not, looking at how these things of Palapala are being seated on the table, obviously the president won't be able to escape all the 13 questions which they had provided for him in order for him to give the answer. Because he can run away from these questions, but there will be some questions which will corner him and he will fail in order for him to give the answer. And from then, obviously, they'll ask him to resign from the office, and he will have to resign because by then it will be kind of like they had found him guilty already. So now that is the reason why the EFF, they want to have the seat of parliament, so that whoever can bring up a motion or anything, they will study it, and if they feel like no, this motion it is fair enough in order for them to pass it in the parliament, then them as the EFF who will be running the parliament, they will allow it to take place, for it to take place in the parliament. Now, the question is, will the ANC accept that? After all these corruption things that we've been hearing here and then, after all these state captures that we've been hearing here and there, do you think that the ANC will allow that to happen? Because if that have to happen, which means big fish will fall down. A lot of big fish in the ANC, they'll fall down. Because I don't see the EFF of Julius Malema having a close blind eye on that one. They'll make sure that whoever who have to answer to court or inside the parliament, they have to do so. So we shall wait and see if the ANC are willing to take that. The second point which the EFF had asked was for the Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance, in this time now, obviously we all know that it's been for some times now that the president of EFF, Julius Malema, has been bragging or talking about the Minister of Finance, who can be nominated in that post. That would be Floyd Shivambu. Now, he's saying that obviously for the reasons that he trusts the man, and he believes that is more competent in order for him to take that post. Now, do you see yourself the ANC giving the finance post or office to the EFF? Because guys, when you are hearing about this corruption taking place, oh, millions, and you know, fun part is that you should have seen the kind of amount that usually comes out whenever they steal from the government. We are talking about millions, 300 millions, 250 millions, 80 millions. Those are the kind of monies that we're always hearing that no, it was meant for this, and the next things it just disappear like that. And all these corruptions that are taking place is because the Minister of Finance is in control. He can have a closed blind eyes when it's being tell what to do, and he can sign for money to go out when they can tell him what to do. You guys, you saw it even the time of Guptas, how they will let go of any ministers but not the Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance, they have to make sure that these ministers comes from their side. They have to recommend that ministers according to them. Why? Because finance it play a very big role in each and every country around the world. There are 4 or 5 posts which each and every president usually need in order for them to feel like, yes, I'm in charge here. Okay? Finance, number 1. Army, Minister of Army. Defense, Minister of Defense, number 2. Justice, number 3. Parliament, where everything's are being made, number 4. And number 5 is what? If I remember, I'll tell you. So this kind of post, they are what they call strategic post, which you as a president, you can give any kind of ministers, Minister of Home Affairs. Okay, number 5, the ministers of foreign ministers. Yes, like Naledi Pandor. Because these are persons who are representing you and your authority outside of your country. So you can give any kind of ministers, give ministers of police to other opposition political parties, ministers of what, give everything. But those 5, they are where the heart of a king or a president lays. Now that the EFF, they're asking to have Minister of Finance, do you think the ANC with President Cyril Ramaphosa, they'll accept that? Because if that had to happen, which means, I'm going to give you a very simple example. It can happen or it might not happen, but I'm just giving my point of view, right? So, which means, for an example, Floyd Shivambu is the Minister of Finance. And then it happened that, no, me and you, we want to steal from the government through a tender negotiation. And you know how these things work. Okay, fine, look, we're going to charge these people 500 million. But me and you, we know that this tender, the price that I'm going to give you is only 150. The rest, we're going to share it. You'll be having this much percentage, me, I'll be having this much. Okay. Now, let us take all the documents and submit it to the Minister of Finance in order for him to approve it and release the money. Now, just because the Minister of Finance, which is Floyd Shivambu, is not part of this operation, once we submit like that, him as a minister, who's not part of us, you know what it's going to do? It's going to be like, oh, okay, this is a nice project, fine. But I was thinking, before I give you guys this money, I need to make my own investigations. Yes, I need to investigate and see with my own 2 eyes where this money will be allocated and what is it gonna do. And why this tender have to cost this much? Was there any other better option out of this company that is having these tenders? So the moment Floyd Shivambu, as a minister of finance, start investigating like that, trust me, it's still going to find out people how they manage to negotiate in secret, how they are being corrupt. And once you have those kind of evidence, that is how you'll be seeing a lot of people start going in jail. Besides that, there'll be certain kind of amount of money where you'll just look at you like, no, I reject it. I'm not going to sign for this. This is too much. They're asking for too much for this tender. So you rather maybe try someone else. And you see already this actually, it will make people who are stealing from the government, their pockets to be dry. Because regardless of what they can agree among themselves with people that they are being corrupted of, at the end of the day, the man who have to release the money will have to investigate in his own to see whether it is worth it in order for him to go ahead and put the signature on it, or is he going to do something else. Now you understand the kind of post that EFF they are asking, and you can see already how hard is it going to be for the ANC in order for them to accept this kind of proposal. But if the ANC decide to go in coalition with the EFF, what are them going to benefit from all this? That's another question. Because looking at it, the only privilege or benefit that the ANC can benefit from all this is just going to be that, no, the EFF that we know, the radical EFF opposition political party that we know in the parliament, the one that can stop the president from giving his speech, that EFF won't exist anymore. So it's going to be a good idea for them to be in coalition with the EFF, just for them to maybe destroy the EFF, to neutralize, that's the proper word I was looking for, to neutralize the EFF tactics in order, in the way that EFF usually held them accountable in the parliament. Because there will be certain things whereby the EFF, they won't be able to say that, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, they won't be able to do all those things. Because before you do that, you think that, no, but we are partners. We are partners, we are in the same coalition. So, I mean, this is not how things are supposed to be. You understand? So, that is the only things maybe the ANC, they might benefit. But still, again, it's not going to be that easy. Now, with all this point that I mentioned to you, or I put to you, let us now look the final one. What can happen if the EFF and the MK, they go to a coalition, two of them? They forgot about ANC, DA, or any other political parties. They go to coalition, all of two of them. Of course, that will make them lose the majority in the parliament. They won't be the majority. They will be on the side of minority. And obviously, DA will be with the ANC by then. But the thing is, when they'll be together like that, EFF with MK in the parliament, they won't be able to survive. They won't be able to raise up a motion and vote it and win. Especially like a motion such as the one, land without compensations, nationalizing of minings and banks. They won't be able to pass, even if they pass it. I mean, if they raise that motion in the parliament, DA and the ANC, they'll vote no, as they did vote no for President Ramaphosa to appear inside the parliament. That is the bad side of it. But what is the good side of the EFF of Julius Malema being in coalition with the MK of Jacob Zuma? Well, right now, these two political parties, they have demonstrated not only to the eyes of South Africans, but to the eyes of the entire world, that they have a very nice strategic when it comes to play the politics in South Africa. Especially the coming of the Jacob Zuma, the man whom no one sees that he was going to even come and stand in the position where he is right now. It had now waken up everyone, and they can see that, okay, if this old man can come out from Kandla at the age of 82 years and managed to make it at this level, what will happen if we give him 5 years? Within 5 years, obviously, he will become our big nightmare. On the other side, we're having the EFF, which is well known as the radical political party in South Africa. Yes, they're like, you put, I put. You push, I push. Sounding funny, right? Yeah, but that is what we know EFF all about. They're not that cold, they're talking like they're sleeping or what. No, they are short, right there. And once a word comes out from their mouth, they don't take it back. Even Madam Speaker said that, no, please take that back. They'll be like, They'll rather prefer to be removed from the parliament and chased out of the parliament house. But whatever they've said is going to remain that way. We have seen it a couple of times. We have seen it many times. Where they're asking Julius Malema, you better take your words back or leave the parliament. It's like, at least I know what I'm talking is the truth. Then they leave. So that EFF, take that radical EFF, put it together with the MK, regardless of how minority they'll be in the parliament. Do you have an idea of what they will do? Do you have an idea of what they will become? Because EFF could also reject this election. Because after all, they performed very poor compared to the previous election in 2019. But when you see EFF leader Julius Malema coming and announcing, saying that, no, we have accepted the results of the IEC. You know what does that mean? Because we all know that Julius Malema is well known as a man who have a giraffe view, a man who can see from far like eagle. And when he had to go and accept those kind of results, do you know what that mean? He simply means to say that, no, actually it's a good idea. And remember, Julius Malema is well surrounded by people who give him counsel. He get the chance to consult with different people. So in order for him to accept this result, he knew already that, no, this is what will happen in 5 years to come. And one of the proof here, I want to show you a footage. This is a message which was coming from Dalimpofu, who had spoken about these things in 2022. He was saying that
in this configuration of what's happening in the ANC, for us, for example, as the EFF, the best outcome would be for Cyril to be returned in the ANC conference.
Are you saying so?
I'm telling you.
The best outcome for the EFF would be for Cyril to be returned.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it will be such an unmitigated disaster. It will be the easiest ANC for us to defeat is one that is led by someone like Cyril Ramaphosa. If the people who are speaking the same language as us, the so-called radical economic transformation and so on, take over, then there'll be no distinction. You are a man of marketing. There'll be no brand distinction because we'll all be saying the same thing, except that we'll be meaning it and they'll be faking it. Yeah, but that's a difficult. But when you have an out-and-out, effectively, I mean, I call Cyril for me is just like a white person. He just has a black skin. So if you have an out-and-out right-wing ANC that is clearly taking us to the cliff, what do you think that does for the fortunes of a proper alternative? So in a very ironical way, if you ask me, I wish they make the mistake of bringing him back in December, because I'll celebrate and I'll tell you that. Then I'll answer your question. You must call me after that. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen in 2024 with more certainty.
The EFF prefers to see President Cyril Ramaphosa coming back in power instead of them seeing someone else coming back. Because for them, they believe that if someone else have to come, it will give the EFF hard work in order for them to remove him again in power. So they rather prefer to have this Cyril Ramaphosa, because they know already that thanks to Cyril Ramaphosa, the ANC managed to drop below 50%. Thanks to President Ramaphosa, the number of unemployment, it has increased, according to the EFF, not me. Thanks to President Cyril Ramaphosa, they failed to nationalize banks and everything that they've been accusing Cyril Ramaphosa on. So for them, they kind of like wanting Ramaphosa to come back, so that each and every person who was still having doubt to vote for the EFF, each and every person who was still believing in voting for the ANC with the President Ramaphosa, they can now see it of their two eyes. They have to see whatsoever is happening. That, okay, I think there's nothing good can come out from this political party, so let us maybe change to something else. That was the message that Dalim Pofo have seen back then. And not only him. We have many politicians who also came out and confirmed the same thing. Most of them, they prefer to see President Ramaphosa going back, so that for them, they believe that things will get more worse than the way it is. Well, unless maybe President Ramaphosa also surprised them, because this is politics. If he managed to surprise everyone, well, I believe people are still gonna put their trust in the ANC, and they're still gonna continue voting for the ANC. So you see for yourself that this is how things are sitting right now on the table, and this is how they are managing to hold these things and make it feel like, okay, no, look, it is all about politics. We should try to find a proper way to negotiate. We should find a proper way to sit to the table and see what will happen. Well, we shall see who's going to take the majority in the parliament, and who will work with who. But if it is for us school bus, we prefer that MK of Jacob Zuma with the EFF, they should remain in their corner and do their stuff there. As for the DA, ANC and other political parties, they can choose to go on their own side. Only people of South Africa will be able to see what they will come out with. I think that will be all for today, guys. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video until now. We are running out of time now. I wish we could have talked more about this, but it was very important that we sit down and have this conversation about this coalition things that is taking place in South Africa. So please, before you leave, do us a favor, make sure that you like this video on your number. It is a way of you supporting us and encouraging us on what we are doing. But if you find something beneficial in this video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, so that you don't get to miss our video whenever we are here live. That will be all for today. For now, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again.
a du chef, il y a yassa, il y a mafé et fakoi, il y a coco, oh que nous pouvons manger. Quand il va signer le kabala magala, abe makoro manko. Africa, 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 Africa. Koronyara bungulo sobo mabelena, abe makoro manko.